Calgary Flames next home game, Friday, March 19th, when travel to Toronto take on the Maple Leafs. Game time, 5 o'clock. You can catch all the action at Sportsnet West and on Sportsnet 960 The Fan. On behalf of all of us, have a great night.
Winning Motor Trend Truck of the Year 3 times in a row? That had never been done before. Then again, neither had a 12-inch touchscreen or 1,000 pound-feet of torque. Never been done before. It's just kind of our thing.
Flames Postgame Live brought to you by Ram Truck, winner of Motor Trend Truck of the Year for the 3rd year in a row. Brendan Parker alongside Matt Stajan, and unfortunate in terms of the third period because it looked like a different game shaping up through 40 minutes, but here we are talking about a 7-3 Oilers victory. Before we get to what happened in the third, just what was your takeaway from this evening, maybe through the first 40 minutes of this hockey game?
Yeah, I think Edmonton, give them credit. They came out ready to go. If you just look at their first shift, they won the face-off, got the red line, got it in deep, put it behind the Flames D, and they went to work. The first 5 minutes of that first period, the Oilers kind of tilted the ice that way, and it resulted in a few turnovers in that period, that the Flames definitely want back, but the Oilers capitalized, and that's how the first period went. So, I think it was a game where you saw a desperate team come out, because Edmonton had lost their 2 previous games, and the Flames were kind of forced to play from behind for the first time under Daryl Sutter, and that's tough to do in any game to play from behind, and that's what they had to do tonight.
Well, let's go through what we saw in terms of the highlights in this hockey game, or lowlights, I suppose, in the latter part of this. But as you mentioned, kind of the start to this hockey game, and it was the Oilers that get the first one, and it's the first deficit the Calgary Flames have had with Daryl Sutter behind the bench, and this is the first one that comes off the stick of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins here.
Yeah, and like I just said, turnovers happen when the team's in your zone for a good chunk of time. Usually they get rewarded, and it was a turnover there, and on the guy's stick you don't want it, and McDavid, and he finds Nugent-Hopkins back door, and then later in the period on the power play, we know how good the Oilers' power play is, but you had a chance to clear the puck there, you didn't. And 10 seconds later, it's in the back of your net to make it 2-0. So, just some mistakes that you got to clean up, and they've been building towards that, and they are getting better at it. But tonight, it costed them when they didn't make those mistakes.
One thing we'll get to as this postgame show rolls around is kind of the effort in the second period, what was starting to take place in favor of the Calgary Flames, but then this out of a TV timeout, beautiful little pass here by Leon Draisaitl, but Dominic Cahoon.
Yeah, it was a beautiful goal. And we were talking about, Draisaitl is one of the best passers in the game. That pass is unbelievable. And it's a beautiful finish by Cahoon there. Sure. Like he picked this corner, but that was unfortunate. I like the response from the Flames here, getting that goal right back. But they controlled the play the whole second period up until those goals. So that third goal was almost a backbreaker, but it was nice for them to get this one back. Great feed there by Chucky to Lindholm. But I think after that it was tough to get back into the game with how the third period went.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, kind of the funny thing of how this game ends up finishing up, because it felt like with that goal 25 seconds after the Oilers made it 3-0, you still had a chance going into the third, but this one kind of was, for all intents and purposes, the backbreaker. Connor McDavid gets his 18th there. That was about a minute 50 into the third, and it just sort of kind of snowballed on Calgary after that. Yeah,
the puck just, started finding its way to the back of the net. Sometimes these happen in these types of games, and in the third period, it really got away from the Flames, and the Oilers kept coming, and they were capitalizing on all their chances. So it's not a good feeling as a player when that happens, especially how good their second period was. You're hoping they could build off that, but Edmonton has a lot of skill, and it doesn't take much for them to open it up and score in bunches, and that's what happened in the third. And the Flames did battle a little at the end of the game to get 2 late ones, but that's just garbage time, let's be honest. And good for confidence, but at the end of the day, you lost the game. You got to regroup now and get ready for a road trip. That's a really big one for this hockey club. Yeah, a crucial one upcoming. And I guess you kind of look at the overall body of work. Should mention, by the way, Zach Kassian comes back into the lineup first in 17. I think he's missed 17 games. He scores in his return, and you get a couple of guys contributing in that way. But overall, when you start to look at these 4 games here, kind of finish off this homestand, it's the only loss on the homestand in regulation. But trying to take away more of an overall look in terms of what you were able to build here in the last 4 games minus 1 period? Yeah, for sure. I think as a player, you're very focused on the day-to-day, and that's Daryl Sutter's approach, and it should be every player's. Let's move on to the next day and do our best and get ready for the next one. But when you break it down as we do and as fans do, if you would have taken 3 out of 4 on this homestand since Daryl's been back, you'd probably take it. Yeah. 3 wins in regulation against teams you're trying to catch, and now you gotta, focus and try and take 3 out of 4, on this road trip. If they can, go to Toronto and maybe win a couple games, and then go to Ottawa, like you can get rolling. But it's easier said than done. We can all hope and your goal is to do that, but all you can do is focus on Friday's game and get your game back to where it needs to be, and hope that you can get another 2 points and then keep collecting. Yeah, for sure. We will hear from a few different players here as the post-game show rolls around. Also have the Ask Stage segment coming up later in the show. And we'll hear from Daryl Sutter, interested to hear what the head coach has to say. And, we just even thought maybe for a second there we might see Jacob Markstrom come out, his 6th straight start, but he kind of left him in there just to finish off the game, and obviously no further damage done. But, maybe just a thought on kind of what we're going to see here now. You got back-to-backs coming up. Is there a chance we maybe see David Rittich here? I know, Daryl previously has loved to ride the starting goaltenders a little bit too. Yeah, I'm intrigued what he's going to do. Because he is a coach that likes to ride his starting goalie. He's done it his whole career. You can go all the way back to Ed Belfour and Mike Vernon and Kipper and Jonathan Quick. So it'll be interesting what he does here. It is travel and back-to-back games, but you never know. I could see him, just going back with Markstrom. But you do have in the back of your head how well Rittich's played against the Leafs, especially on the last trip. He's had some success against that team. So we'll see what they do Friday and Saturday. But Daryl's definitely known for a guy to ride his number 1. All right, let's get to our first guest of the post-game show. Johnny Gaudreau stops in, throwing on the headset down below. I guess maybe, Johnny, just first of all, your take. Didn't feel like a 7-3 game, really, this hockey game until the end here. But what was your takeaway from tonight?
Yeah, too many penalties. Gave their top guys a lot of good looks on the power play. we just weren't our best tonight, obviously, and shows on the scoreboard.
Take me back to that the second period. It's a 2-0 game. It seemed like you guys were really controlling, most of that second period, and just that third one goes in. Did it, how did that kind of affect the way that this game went out?
Yeah, I mean, we were playing, from behind the whole game pretty much, and it wasn't our best first period, obviously. We knew that coming into the second. Big goal from Lindy. I think make it 2-1 or 3-1, and then came out in the third, and they scored a couple power play goals and kind of handed it to us there.
Johnny, obviously a tough game for the guys, but I think let's just talk about what's the dressing room setup like. I know in games like this, when you're behind 2-0 after the first period, I know everybody's spread out. Guys are in different rooms. Do you guys come together before the period? When Daryl comes in, like what's it look like back there before a period?
Yeah, with COVID, I think half the guys are in one locker room, half the guys in another locker room. But 3-4 minutes before the period starts, we all get into one locker room, and Daryl comes in, says a few words to us, and we go out. But obviously, it's a little different this year with COVID and everything. But that's no excuse. I mean, we need to be prepared to play, and starting with myself, so obviously need to be better.
Just overall, a little disappointing, just knowing, as we even talked this morning about so many of the good things you guys put in place here over the last 3 games.
Yeah, I don't think we did too much of what we did the past 3 games. We gotta get back to that. I think we can't feel too comfortable because we're not even in the playoffs right now. So after 3 wins, obviously it's nice, but can't get comfortable right now. We still got a long way to go here. We got 25, I don't know how many games, 20-something games left, and we need to win, a majority of them to try to make the playoffs here. So no time to feel comfortable for ourselves. We got to push every single game, and can't have any games off like that.
Yeah, well, good luck in Toronto, Johnny. We won't keep you too long here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Johnny. All right, Johnny Gaudreau, as he and the team head out to Toronto and Ottawa here in the upcoming 4-game road trip that starts in 2 days, I suppose, travel day tomorrow. We expect to hear from Elias Lindholm here tonight, who had, of course, one of the 3 goals. Johnny had the other. I mean, for Johnny, I suppose you talked about kind of the garbage time, but at some point, it probably feels good for him to find the back of the net, maybe just at least to take out some of that. I know you could tell the frustration on his face for sure, but maybe grab a little bit of a positive to take with you.
Yeah, these interviews are way better when they win.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, speaking from a player standpoint, it's garbage time.
Yeah.
But it's something to build off of. Obviously, when your team's not scoring, or if you're not scoring, if you can, sometimes it takes an empty net, or sometimes guys don't score for a while. It takes an empty net or a bounce to get going. But Johnny's been consistent all year. I don't think it's like a huge goal for him. But for sure, every goal. You build confidence, but that's not the mindset. It shouldn't be for any player, and it's not for this team right now. It's about winning and losing hockey games and focusing on making sure you're trying to do everything you can to win the hockey game. So I don't think anybody's too happy with anything tonight.
For you, is it kind of the timing too, the turnovers that we talked about throughout those early parts? You just when in particular that second period. You feel like you're doing some good things, and then, it just takes one mistake, especially against this team, that can really change the course of a period or a game.
Yeah, and that's what the Flames have been doing so well since Daryl's come in.
Yeah.
Is their turnovers have been way down. There's no neutral zone turnovers, at the blue line, inside their own blue line. They've cleaned that up, but tonight they did have some turnovers. They didn't clear the puck on the penalty kill. And you obviously notice those turnovers a lot more when the other team scores, and Edmonton capitalized on those chances. But Edmonton came out with a little more fire in the first period. The Flames came back in the second with a lot of fire. But sometimes there was another turnover in the second that led to the Edmonton third goal, and that's sometimes how it goes. And that's why the focus is to simplify, get pucks deep, because that limits turnovers.
We talked about kind of holding Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in at least to a reasonable point total. They had 1 each in the last game, but tonight they break free a little bit. Power play is a big part of that. But just Tyson Barrie, a guy that was questionable tonight, he finishes with 4 assists. What were you seeing from the Oilers and what they were doing and able to capitalize on the other end?
Yeah, well, you know what can't you say? You know, those are two of the best players in the world, and Tyson Barrie, he's had great games against the Flames throughout his career. If you look at his stats, so you know what you're going to get from these guys. They're two of the best players in the world, and we've seen a trend here. Every time they play the Flames, there's been one game where they're kind of quiet, and then the next night they've exploded. At least three of the I don't know how the sets have gone, but three of the back-to-back games, that's what's happened. We've seen them quiet the one night and then explode the next. So, you know, you can limit them as much as you can, but they're just too good that they're going to get their looks. And when they start feeling and the puck goes in, there's just not much you can do. But you know, I think you find ways, and you know they'll look at the tape and next time you know I think they can compare this game to the last game and what they did against McDavid and Draisaitl, and maybe you know implement some things to make it even tougher for those guys to create.
As we wait for Elias Lindholm, let's just circle back because we had an opportunity to kind of break down that second period. There was basically, you know, I don't know, maybe a 3 or 4 minute span where the puck hardly left the Edmonton zone, and I think the Flames rolled even 3 lines over at that one point. But just it seemed like they were close to really turning this game, you know, completely in a different direction, and then obviously it doesn't finish. But what did you make of that stretch in the second period?
Yeah, that's the way Darryl wants them to play, and it was a big shift. You know, I think it did change the momentum in the game. You definitely felt it in the building, the empty building that we're in. But watching it, you did feel it
for sure.
You look at the benches and just everything. But Mike Smith made some huge saves in this sequence. The Flames had 2 or 3 point-blank chances, and good on them. They stayed on the puck. The D were active. They made a few line changes. Edmonton then iced the puck. You know, because their guys were tired, and you know, it was a little mistake by them. So the Flames got another fresh line on. But unfortunately, you know, right after that, there's a commercial timeout, and then there's another turnover, and we saw the Oilers get that third goal. So it wasn't, you know, their second period was by far their best period tonight, and you know they responded, you know, after Edmonton scored that goal with the goal from Lindholm, who we're going to talk to here in a sec. But that's you know that's what they got to look at. You know, I think when you have game tape like that, you know, people tend to look at the negatives, but a lot of the time, look at the positive shifts, and you know, you show that to the players, like, this is what we need to do. It's simple hockey, but at the same time, you know, you're gonna have shifts when Edmonton's doing that too. That's just the ebbs and flows of a hockey game. You know, Edmonton's not just gonna sit back, you know, for a whole game. So you got to kind of take in water and do a good job. But when you have the opportunity to get in their zone and do the same thing, you do that, and that's what the Flames did in the second.
Well, as we wait for Elias Lindholm, let's join Mark Giordano and Matthew Tkachuk and hear a few words before we expect to hear from Elias Lindholm.
Thanks. Mark, obviously this team played really well the last 3 games, and some, you know, mistakes we hadn't seen sort of creep back in tonight. Any idea, you know, why some of those turnovers, why some of those unforced errors maybe happened tonight?
Well, for the first time in a little bit here, we were chasing the game, and like you said, you can't, when you're chasing the game, you can't change the way you play. You can't start taking chances, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's 3-1 going into the third. I feel like we have a chance, and 2 penalties, and they scored on both, so we got to be better than that.
So you did feel you started taking chances in that third period that you shouldn't have done?
Well, no, not at the start. We took 2 penalties, and they scored on both. So then it's 5-1, and yeah, I mean, after that, it was the game's 5-1. I mean, they're sitting back and just waiting for us to try and get through them, and just not good enough tonight. We gotta be way better than that. You can't play open against a team like that who has that much skill.
There's some couple of quick thoughts there from Tkachuk and Giordano. Let's welcome in Elias Lindholm for a couple of quick thoughts here. You know, Elias, maybe just give us your takeaways of this game that obviously doesn't finish the way you guys want, but you know, just your thoughts.
Yeah, it was a little bit too much up and down. That's not our type of game, and it's theirs, and we gave them a couple of chances on power play, and they capitalized. So. We didn't stick to our game plan, and kind of gave them a good chance to, you know, play their game.
Disappointing, especially knowing a lot of the things you guys had done so well here over the last 3 games, and maybe kind of falling back into some of those bad habits.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's not the way we want to play, and obviously letting in 7 goals, it's we have a skilled group, but it's tough to score 8. So we gotta figure that out and come back and play the way we did the first 3 here.
Lindy, we saw Noah Hannafin out there with you guys on the first PP unit. Did you guys get some practice time in there? And how much does that change your power play?
Yeah, he's there, and we did not have any time to practice, but I thought he made a good job. He's moving well, and for myself, when I'm on the half wall, it's behind the back play for me now. It's not one timer, so it changed a little bit. But overall, I think he's been playing well and deserved to be up there.
Just one last one before I let you go about the second period, and kind of looked like you started to really get some offensive zone time there. Didn't able to find one before the 3-0 goal, but did you feel like things were really starting to change in that period, and how much would have this game looked differently if you would have found the back of the net there?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall our game was not there. I think we had some shifts here and there, but you can always go back and say if that bounced there and that bounced there. But overall, I didn't think we play good enough, and we played right into their hands and the game they want to play. So it's just overall not good enough.
Fair enough. Thanks for the time, man. Good luck on the road.
Thanks.
This is Elias Lindholm, and before we start to turn a corner here on the post-game show, let's listen back in on the podium. I think we have Jacob Markstrom there. Is that what you guys said?
Jacob, obviously a frustrating night. Any sort of explanation for sort of why you just maybe didn't have it as much as you needed to tonight?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me better now, possibly? Just obviously not your night really tonight. Any idea why?
No, if I knew that, I would have changed it during the game. It was, it's a shit night by me, and I feel bad. I feel terrible. Obviously, they scored on every chance they got, pretty much, and half chance, and it's my job to keep the puck out of the net, and I didn't do that. So it's embarrassing and frustrating for sure.
Did you ask to stay in and finish the night?
No, I mean it's frustrating to have a game like that, but you're playing in the best league in the world, and I'm never gonna ask to be pulled, never. Like unless the coach pulled me out of there, I want to battle, I want to be out there, but obviously today was, it wasn't pretty for my part, and I got to be better to help the guys.
Go to Solom next.
Hey Jacob, how do you reset mentally when things don't go your way, sort of in succession? How are you able to try to move on quickly in the middle of the game, especially at that start of the third period?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so cliche with the next puck and all that, but every shot in the third went in, and the game got away with us there, and it's very frustrating, and it pisses me off, but I gotta work harder. That's it.
We call it the Ram 1500 Limited. But truth be told, there's nothing limited about it. Ram 1500, winner, J.D. Power Award for Best Driver Appeal.
Flames postgame live brought to you by Ram Truck. Pretty honest assessment there from Jacob Markstrom postgame. Let's listen in to Daryl Sutter, what the head coach thought of this hockey game here tonight.
Daryl, this team had sort of played very well for the last 3 games under you. Not so well tonight. What lessons do you want them to take from tonight's performance?
I think it kind of follows up to what I said at the start when I came here, is that in this division there's way too much power in terms of offense, and our team has to play a very, very strong checking game. And I think the lesson would be in the first period. We weren't good enough down low in our zone on the first goal. The next goal is a power play goal on a penalty that you don't have to take. And I thought in the second period we were back to where we wanted to go. In fact, I thought there was times where we sustained some pressure and played pretty well. And so we lost the first period, tied the second. And the bottom line is you got to win the third period. And those two power plays, two power plays at the start of the period make it a 5-1 game.
Did you consider pulling Jacob Markstrom at all, or did you?
Not for one shift, second, minute, anything. I believe I'm on record for this. Every team I've ever coached, I do not pull the goalie. I hate pulling the goalie. It's like benching somebody. And I don't believe that. I believe that they stick with their teammates, and I believe that they fight their way out of it just like everybody else. And it's basically a trust thing because I think he's an awesome goalie, but he has to be able to battle too. And I've never done it, and it's worked very well. I've had great goalies, and this is pretty good one too.
Go to Eric Francis.
Daryl, could this end up being a pretty good lesson for your team to learn? I mean, I know there's not a whole lot of time to learn a lot of lessons, but, especially since who you're going to be playing the next couple of games.
Well, it doesn't matter who we're playing next, Eric. This team, this group of players has to learn that it's what I said at the outset on the first question there, that they don't have the firepower to not put themselves in a position to be good defenders or to check or to play well in their zone. That's not going to happen. If they don't play that way, then there's going to look at the shots. In the end of the night, it ends up, what was it, Eric? 33-30 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we're going to score 8 goals and beat Edmonton 8-7.
Is it like your team from 04? I know it's a radically different team and everything, but is it kind of like the same mentality in 04 that you weren't going to be able to keep pace with the other team's stars? You just had to play team first?
No, I think at the end of the day, this team probably has more skill than that team, but that team was more mature and understood it better how they had to play. So it's a work in progress.
Thanks, Daryl.
Yep.
We'll go to Ryan Pike.
Daryl, you mentioned the Edmonton power plays. The club had late power plays in both the first 2 periods when the game is still close. Do you feel like you got enough out of your special teams units in this game?
Well, obviously our penalty kill, they were 3 for 4, and if you look in the division, this is not a league thing. When you look at all those numbers, you look at the division, and there's power plays operating at over 30%. So, you know what? You take a lazy penalty, you're going to put yourself in trouble. And we did it back to back to start the third, and we did it in the first period too. You know, they're unnecessary. A perfect player now takes 0 penalties, plays hard, and finishes checks and has 0 penalty minutes. So, got some work to do there too.
Okay, thanks very much, Daryl. Tomorrow will be a travel day for the Flames. And
So the theme there from the head coach, a work in progress, and fair enough as the Flames drop this one 7-3. We'll put a wrap on the postgame show here shortly. A couple of new features that we want to go through, but the bet99.net predictive games that you can go on the Saddledome Live app and select ahead of time. Both Stage and I filled these out ahead of time. One looked good, one did not. So I think that one's my pick. There you go. So that one's correct. 1 point for Elias Lindholm. Did any Flames skater drop the mitts? No, we both got that one correct. Which Flames defenseman collects the most points? I had Rasmus Anderson. You had Mark Giordano. It was Noah Hannafin who had an assist on this game. And then Sean Monahan over or under 3.5. You were correct on the under. I was incorrect.
Should have known about Hannafin.
Yeah.
He's feeling it right now. So.
I know. I thought about that, and then I ended up going Anderson. But there's your Kyle Boudreau. So he went 4 for 4. Everybody seems to do well on this predictive game, and we'll continue to do that as we go through the season here, at least for the home games throughout the rest of the year. All right, it's time for Ask Stage. All right, Ask Stage. We should get a sponsor for this thing. It feels like it needs one. What do we got for questions here tonight? We got a couple of quick ones for you guys before we sign off. A 4-game road trip upcoming. What happened to Ask Stage? I feel so ripped off here. You're better than Oprah.
It's not sponsored, so it doesn't get on.
It's not on. We need your help. We need a sponsor, and then it'll become an absolute post-game regular. But until then, you never know what's going to happen.
Couple shaving products out there?
Yeah, maybe. Hey, well, how about this? Maybe a shampoo. What shampoo are you using from Hockey 13 Jace? That's
no shampoo. Conditioner.
Conditioner
and soap.
Well, there's
not much hair up there, so
not necessary. We do. Maybe we
it dries the scalp. You use shampoo, it dries the scalp.
Really?
Well, and Calgary's dry. Too,
yeah,
so.
Calgary's dry.
But just keep it clean. It's like any other part of your body, right? You use soap. There's no hair up there. You don't put shampoo on non-hair areas.
So we need a soap sponsor or a
whatever we can get.
Whatever we can get. Okay, this is from Angelo something or other. What is your best memory that you have with Kipper? Any memories with Mika Kiprusoff? Again, one of those I should have probably ran by you.
Yeah, lots of Kipper stories. One off the top of my head. He was so good. But he would a lot of practices. He was this good. He'd come out here and he'd play stand-up goalie, and it was hilarious because he'd be stand-up goalie the whole practice and no one could score on him. But it was also bad for the players because our confidence got shot because we're shooting at our goalies playing like an 80s goalie. And you still can't score because he was just that good. But yeah, there's lots of Kipper stories off the ice. He's quite the prankster because you wouldn't expect it to be him. But yeah, everybody loved him. He was great, and I'm glad I had the chance to be teammates with him for multiple years, and it was nice to see him back at the Dome last year.
I was going to say that was a great moment to have him back and the ovation that he got, and kind of a surprise too. I don't think a lot of people knew it was coming that night. We in the building had an idea, and then the ovation he got was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he was great. Another quick story.
Yeah,
I remember when him and his wife were having, I think it was their second child. It was during the season here. And they didn't tell any of their family members back home in Finland. So they showed up like after the season, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they had the baby here, but they basically showed up after the season back home, and they had another child. And no one in their family, they just surprised everybody and kept it to themselves. And that's for sure a Kipper move. But he was great, and hey, he should be up in the rafters here sometime soon, I think.
One day, 34, hey? That's good, outstanding stuff. Yeah, that does seem very Kipper-like when you well, I haven't heard from him, Generally, we don't see or hear of Mika Kiprusoff too much. That's why it was great to have him back. But otherwise, he's quiet.
Yeah, he lives in the bush in Finland,
yeah.
off the grid.
Even
in Finland, if you go to Finland, you wouldn't find him. So that's Kipper. He's... Matt, he just does what he wants.
Yeah, the nostalgia lives. All right, well, that does it for Ask Stage and for the postgame show. Brought to you by Ram Truck. It's been a tough one tonight for the Calgary Flames, but we look ahead. They got a road trip coming up, and then we'll be back here at the Scotiabank Saddledome not too long. There he is, Mika Kiprusoff, looking good. And he loved the attention, too, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Just wins the Vezina and just no shows. Like, has anybody ever done that? Kipper did.
That's got to be probably why we haven't seen the ceremony.
Yeah, I think Daryl went up to collect the award from him.
Acceptance speech, yeah, that's right. Oh, jeez. So. We have to ask Daryl about that one time. All right, well, let's sign off from the Scotiabank Saddledome tonight. Thanks for watching. Tough one for the Calgary Flames. They fall 7-3 in the back half of this Battle of Alberta back-to-backs. But there's still a few more to go. 4 more head-to-head matchups between the Flames and Oilers to get a little bit of revenge. Next game coming up for the Calgary Flames is on Friday against the Toronto Maple Leafs. First of back-to-back games. First of this 4-game road trip. The next home game comes your way Friday, March 26th. So a week from Friday back at the Dome. Thanks for watching Flames Post Game Live. For all of us here, we'll see you next week.